You're listening to Metro Morning. I'm Angie Seth in for David Common. Well, when we go to the doctor and we're prescribed medication to help with whatever ailment we might have, of course, the understanding that medication is there to help you, perhaps maybe even heal you. But what if those meds, what if that medication you get from the pharmacist is wrong? And the pills, the liquid that's in the bottle looks like it's supposed to be, but it's actually not what was prescribed. Clearly, the consequences can be serious. In some cases, they can be deadly. Well, there is now a new tool online to help report those mistakes. Melissa Sheldrick is a patient and family advisor at the Institute for Safe Medication Practices Canada, and she joins me here in studio. Good morning to you, Melissa.
Good morning.
And I have to say to our listeners here, Melissa and I have a long history together. But let's take our listeners back to your story, because this is really what springboarded a years-long or several years-long campaign to change the system, not just in Ontario, but in the country.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Angie. Thanks for having me this morning. In 2016, we lost our 8-year-old son, Andrew, to medication errors. These errors were made during the dispensing of his regular prescription, and we didn't know what happened. And then after learning that these errors happened during the dispensing process, I learned that there was no system in place for community pharmacies to learn from what had happened. Mm-hmm. So I've done a lot of advocacy work here in Ontario and across the country to see those pharmacy programs be in place, and we have that almost clear across the country now. So really proud to do that. My work at ISMP Canada is beautifully aligned with what I started with in 2016. And now we really want to ramp up the consumer voice. The general public interacts with medications outside healthcare settings, and they have such an important part to play in recognizing errors, catching errors, and then letting us know about it so that we can look at these errors, take the learning, and feed it back to them to help them stay safe with their medications.
And find out what needs to change in the system, which is exactly what you did.
Absolutely.
Tragically, after your son died, it opened up a Pandora's box of no checks and balances in Ontario, let alone, and that's kind of where you started. How common did you find that there were mistakes made? And some can be very simple ones, but then there were, and unfortunately in your case, a fatal one. So how common was it?
Sure. Well, we've learned that there are over 700 million prescriptions dispensed in Canada every year. Mm-hmm. And thankfully, errors are a small fraction of that. However, some errors that happen are incredibly harmful, and some of them have tragic outcomes like ours. And so we want to do whatever we can to reduce that preventable harm, because they are often preventable. And so what are the systems that can be put in place to mitigate that risk? And the public has an important role to play in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And with that, now making it easier with this online tool. So it's not that you're making a phone call or having to write in. So talk to me about the tool for reporting errors, how it works, when people use it.
Sure. Yeah. Mederror.ca is a website designed for the public, so it's easy to use. There is the reporting platform, which is a key piece of it, but there's also newsletters that we publish every month that people can have appear in their inbox for free if they sign up. And these are newsletters that are based on largely the reports that we receive. Here's what we heard from the public. Here's what you can do to stay safe with your medications. We have topics like for kids and for older adults and for different kinds of medications. So I would encourage people to go to the website, to look at it, to report an error if they have one, even if they've caught it, right? We want to hear about those too. We've had incredible reports from consumers who have caught medication errors. We connect with manufacturers, tell them what we're hearing, and they have made, for example, packaging changes based on one report from a consumer. So these are really important reports that we receive, and they make large-scale changes to safety issues across the country.
So clearly they're not just inputted, they are tracked. The information is used and then, of course, implemented in terms of how we have to continue to shift that narrative and how we do our best practices. So as you mentioned, there's some people will report an error when it's caught. Others, of course, can report an error when it's happened. It's just whenever.
Whenever.
This all stemmed, unfortunately, of course, because of the death of your son. And I know it took an extremely long time for you and your family to come to terms, but you used that and put it into this energy to now create change across the country. How has this led? Because your mandate was prevention and education. How has this journey now over the last almost 10 years led you down that path where you are seeing that change?
We've seen incredible change, not only from the community pharmacy changes that are happening and the reporting that it's coming in. All of this data is coming into a national database that is held by ISMP Canada. And so we have all of this information that we can take and arm people, arm our consumers, arm our pharmacists, arm all our healthcare providers who interact with medications to put these strategies in place to prevent these things from happening. And so we see the impact. We have examples on our website that show that. And so I really hope that people will be able to have a look at that information. And Health Canada helps support this funding for this website. So they know the value of the work that we do as well.
It is critical work, of course, everything that we can do to keep ourselves safe and that you know, promise to make sure that the medication that you're getting is what you need. Melissa, thank you so much for this. Appreciate you coming in and speaking with me. Melissa Sheldrick is a patient and family advisor at ISMP Canada. The group just launched mederror.ca, where you can report medication errors to a national database. Thanks again, Melissa.
Thanks for having me.